Through the grief, I've learned over and over that the love of family and friends knows no bounds. I've learned that my own strength and courage, though tested every second and minute of every hour of the day since my husband's passing, has grown exponentially and is why I can stand here today. And I've also learned that the staple of every family in mourning must be pound cake, because we have at least 12 of them. Every single one of them is irresistible and finding a permanent home on my hips as I speak. But I also wanted to share some few thoughts about Theotis. He was the love of my life, my soulmate, my best friend. He was the father of my 5 children, 2 of whom I gave birth to, and 3 that I didn't, but I love just the same. But what brought us all here together today is that God, in His infinite wisdom, and with His blessing, is to celebrate my husband's life. And today I'm honored and blessed to share with you some thoughts that I hope will provide to you some insight into his life, but also some things that you should think about as well. Theotis and I were married over 22 years. In fact, what most people know is that we were actually married twice. The first time in March of 1993 in Jacksonville, Florida, and the second time in September of 1993 in Cincinnati. In fact, the September wedding, we had 2 ceremonies, a traditional and then an African ceremony. So we used to say that we were good and truly married. Now, why so many times? It wasn't that, sure if it took or not the first time, but it was because Theotis insisted that we not live together without being married. It was important to both of us, but it was especially critical for him. If we were going to make the commitment, then we should make it, period. That's the kind of man I married. One who, like many of us, came from humble beginnings, had strong values, loved his family fiercely, was opinionated on every subject on the planet, could cook with flair, and could make me laugh whether I wanted to or not. Over the years, we built a family, and we built dreams that had us growing old together. We were in sync on most things, and stood as one when it came to raising our children. When we moved to Europe in support of my career, Theotis became caretaker-in-chief of the family. The stories we have in that time are ones that will live in my memories forever. There are stories that you have will have you clutching your side with laughter and smiling at how close we became as a family. There are stories that involve 2 parents, a grandmother, and a 6 and a 10-year-old son. There are stories too unbelievable to have been made up and often had us calling ourselves the Griswolds, because that's exactly what we seem to be. For example, when Mr. Caretaker-in-Chief went to the grocery store, his approach to buying meat was especially entertaining, because the meat labels in the deli case were in French, and his French was pretty much non-existent. He fell back on the skills that he developed somewhere along the way in his life. Yes, that's right. He pulled out his best game of charade skills and would flap his arms and cluck when we get a chicken for dinner. Well, then that would have all the cows in Switzerland turn their heads when meat was needed for the meal that week. Yes, it was a sight to behold, and I had not seen it myself, I would never believe it. Or there's the story of when we crossed the customs line going from Switzerland to France, which was about 5 minutes from our house. And the customs officer gestured for Theotis to roll the window of the car down. He complied, just as he should. The customs officer leaned over the window, then began to rattle off a litany of impressive French that had us all straining to hear the one word in French we might hopefully recognize and give praise that we would understand what the heck he wanted. Clearly, I didn't hear my magic word, but my husband must have, because the next thing I know, he's responding to the customs officer's request with an impressive litany of his own, this time in English, but not in a grammatical form that I recognize, because his response was, "No, sir, I do not have a shiny mustache." It was at that moment that I realized that Theotis had a French speech impediment, not an English one, but a French one. And even more incredulous is that he actually thought he was responding in French. Finally, because my children were young boys who became each other's best friend, because they had not met friends of their own, they began to get creative in the level of mischief they deployed. My husband's response was to have them sign contracts and take them to court when the mischief broke the rules of the contract. You really haven't lived taking your 6 and 10-year-old to court in your dining room with your husband as prosecutor, your 6-year-old as the defendant, your 10-year-old as the defending attorney, and you yourself as a jury, your 75-year-old mother as the judge. Your mother, who has been watching Judge Judy all day, ends the court proceeding with her saying to her 6-year-old grandson, "Now, I don't want to see you in my courtroom again, young man." Did I say more? Over those 22 years, there are many stories I could tell, just like those that would have But I wanted to take this opportunity to also tell you an entirely different set of stories. When we returned from Geneva, the transition back to my husband was very difficult. When the kids and I were able to slide right back into work and school, he had put his businesses on the back burner when we went to Europe. Unfortunately, they did not fare well for a variety of reasons. But it was at this point that our long list of dreams began to fade. One difficulty after another led to a depression that was difficult for him to break free of. He would say, "I'm back," but I knew in my heart, he really wasn't. I watched the love of my life, my soulmate and best friend, start to make choices that were not indicative of those strong values I spoke of at the beginning of our relationship. I watched him struggle with alcohol and depression, to the point where I knew that these things had taken root and would not let go. As a daughter of educators who taught me to use all of my resources to be as curious as I can, I learned everything I could, both about the cause and effect of alcoholism and depression. We had seen others before us who had traveled this path, and we knew where it led. He and I talked of it often, but now we too were on that road, but only one of us was aware that the journey had led us to this place. I was aware, he wasn't. Up until last year, Theotis was one of the physically healthiest people you could ever meet. Yet in April 2014, he had the first of many hospital visits that included multiple days in ICU, open heart surgery, and a life-squatted ICU visit at the Cleveland Clinic when he was there to find out exactly what was going on through a series of tests. To not be physically healthy after he had served 10 years in the military, wrestled in high school, exercised regularly, and did not take any medication on a regular basis was not something he could understand. He rarely got colds, never got a flu shot, tried to convince me I was heavy and forget one. And yes, I do get a flu shot every year. And would walk around outside barefoot as if he had electric blankets for feet. This deterioration in his health only further deepened his depression and increased his challenge on dependence on alcohol. It only had taken root that had now grown to a full-blown tree of issues. It's the sum of these issues that has gathered us here today. It's the sum of those issues, which is why I felt compelled to share my thoughts with you. Many of you are familiar with the Serenity Prayer. It goes something like this: God grant me the courage to change the things that I can change, to accept the things I can't change, and to wisdom to know the difference. God gave me the courage to change me and how I supported my husband and my children when I saw that his struggles became far too great for any of us to deal with. God helped me accept that I did do all that I could, that our friends and family did all that they could, and it was up to him to decide if he wanted to change. And through God, he gifted me the wisdom to know the difference between I was supporting and helping and when I was unable, because those two are indeed very different. Every day, we are blessed with the bounty of gifts from God. Every day, we are blessed with the gift to open our eyes in the morning, take our first breath of the day, and see the sun shine. Every day, we are blessed with the gift to love our children with all that is in us, so that they can be all that they can be every day. Every day, we are blessed with friends and families that come out in mass like today from all parts of the country, or that send thoughts and prayers virtually from all over the world and from every part of our lives. Every day, we are blessed with sisters, some learn later and maybe not, that drop everything to stay with you and help you in your time of need. Every day, we are blessed with sons and daughters, some you gave birth to and some you didn't, that prop you up on strong shoulders, make you eat when you don't want to, and give you good hugs that surround you and abound you of warmth and love. Every day, we are blessed to be on this earth and do the work that God has intended us to do. Every day, it is up to us to live up to the gifts and blessings that he has given us and to live and serve however he has intended for us to do. Every day, and in every way he tells us. Every day, and in every way he teaches us. Every day, and every way he guides us. It's up to us to listen, to learn, and to follow. My ask is that all of you here today, if you have a loved one, a friend, or family member that you know is not honoring the gift that God gave all of us to be on this planet to live, to serve his will, and is struggling with alcoholism, depression, or any other addiction, don't just sit there, don't just keep quiet, do something about it. If you have a friend or family member that is struggling with alcoholism, depression, or any other addiction, and haven't yet had the courage to confront them with it, know that through God, you do have the courage to do that. So do it, and do it today. If you yourself are that friend or family member that is struggling with alcoholism, depression, or any other addiction, and your loved one or friend may have even already confronted you with it, but you are in denial about it because you tell yourself everything in moderation, or I can stop it anytime I want to, or I'm better than that, and I'll never be like that, then fine, prove it. Do it, stop, right now, and forever. But if you can't, accept that you cannot do it by yourself, and get the professional help that you need to do it. There is a word for all those things that you're saying to yourself, and that word is denial. My husband used to say that denial is a long river in Egypt. Well, it's not just that. Denial is when you're ignoring the gifts and blessings that God gave you. Denial is when you're hurting your family and friends because you are not seeking the help that you need. Denial is when your spouse is standing at the pulpit of her husband's memorial service far too soon and waiting for your dreams to be materialized. God gave you the gift of life. It is not your choice to throw that gift away. And if you do believe that, then trust me on this. It's not God who's telling you that it's your choice. It's someone else. And just like the word denial, his name starts with D as well. I want to again thank you for indulging me this morning. Thank you for loving my husband. Thank you for loving me, my children, and my family. Even with all of his challenges and struggles, there are a few things I know to be true. First, he loved me and his children with his whole heart. Second, we loved him just as much in return. But last and most importantly, he loved God and is now at peace. And he has surrounded him with and taken away all of his pain. And for that, I am truly and eternally grateful because I know that he is now at peace and is struggling no more. Theotis James Holmes, you can rest now, sweetie. We love you.